okay, I wanted like some tag team magic spell shit, and we didn't get that, and we don't even see what Finn can do. So I was a little disappointed in Finn, but really, my fucking boy right here.
Oftentimes in shonen media, main character, there's this ancient evil, and for some reason, it gets locked away in the main character, and they can only access that power when they're in an overwhelming emotional state.
That that's only happened like 100 times in
Only
anime
happened
and
100
manga.
times.
What do you mean?
Naruto, JJK.
Hi, hello, this is JulesTheHuman here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, JulesTheHuman, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today is the final time we're going to be talking about Mashle, Magic and Muscle. I was going to say Mash Bernadette, Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. The last time we're talking about it, we're going to rank it on our board, and then at the end of the episode, we're going to pick a brand new anime. We have so many anime here that need to be watched. So many that we have not dove into, have not ranked, and we'll be doing a new one out of these here by the end of the episode. And way that you can get your pick if you're like, man, I really want them to talk about this anime. $5 super chat on YouTube, $5 super chat on YouTube, or 500 bits on Twitch. It goes both to me and Matt, and you get to put an anime in the chest for us to watch in the future. I don't go on these anime journeys alone. I go with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how was your week?
Pretty good. I am very much looking forward to finishing up Mashle, picking out a new anime. Been so still obsessed with Deadlock, and then we were also playing a
Brother.
little bit of Super Vive, which they
You
took that
know,
away from us. So
yeah, and I played up until the day. It was so much fun. But, Deadlock wasn't bad. I honestly, it was just a different vibe playing with people, and if I'm going to play it, I would only play it with people. So I
that's
definitely
correct.
would play it
Yeah.
for
It's
sure.
not a solo venture game for sure. It's just it's a lot. It's like playing any MOBA. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
just
mean,
been having fun with new games in the zeitgeist, and yeah, excited to talk about Mashal. I really am curious to see how your final thoughts through these last four episodes went, because I
yeah.
feel like I feel like with these last four episodes you could really swing either way on whether it makes or breaks the series for you, and whether or
And
not you even have interest in watching it moving forward.
And I can see why people wouldn't be about it, or like I understand why people would be about it. But at the top, I wanted to say, I'm not saying like this leaning, if this made me lean towards one or the other, but I think for like the next Crunchy Awards, I think we should add, I just thought about this like 10 minutes ago. I think we should add a category for like best ensemble, because like, not talking about the show in general, we're going to get into the show actually, but like this up here, like the ensemble of this crew, Lance, Dot, Finn, Mash, and Lemon, and all of them, that crew is just so fun, and I really love these little characters, and that goes with the shows that we've already seen. I really liked Grimgar's little crew, Grimgar, Fantasy and Ash, the one
Emotional
we show.
damage.
Bo Fury's crew. I really like the crew in Bo Fury, which was really fun. So I think like we can actually, since we've been getting into more episodes that have like a little crew, a little club of people, we can do like best stuff, because this one sits somewhere at the top for me because I really love Dot, as I said last episode, but I really like what the crew brings. So how do you feel in general about this crew of characters, and like the juxtaposition between all the other crews we've already seen, because they're a lot sillier?
It's a lot sillier, and they matched the tone of the show, and
Mhm.
I think they all bounce off really well of who Mash is kind of like supposed to be. And when you say crew, it's like even getting into some of the the Langdor members, we'll see Love Cute a lot in these last four episodes, and it's like, sure, they might not be like super well fleshed out or anything, but they're just providing this like little different, a different energy, a different voice, and it's that way it's not just constantly like a narrator or one person who's kind of recapping everything that Mash does. It just, I feel like it keeps the show a little fresh consistently when we keep having a rotation of the secondary characters to bounce off whoever the main, because like even here in these last four episodes we get our little battles where each of the main side characters, maybe except for Finn, kind of get their own little highlight moments. And it reminds me of the just drawing parallels to the other thing, where in the Sorcerer's Stone, it's
You
each
said
of
it.
them had something different, a different trial using a different like attribute that
Oh, I didn't even think
so
about
it reminds me of that, in the where they're each a little bit different, but not just so different to where it's pulling away, or not taking so much time on them that it's pulling away from like what the show wants to do, which is be
that.
like silly and funny. But it does just enough with each of the characters. But and I feel like they never overstay their welcome, and that's definitely one of the strengths of the show, is the characters and how they bounce off each
Yeah.
other.
You mentioned Love Cute, and bro, what the fuck was she doing there the whole last couple episodes? Anyways, um we got to get into it. We got an anime to rank and we got a new anime to pick. So let's start with episode 9, Mash Bernadette and the Accelerated Battle. What happens in episode 9?
Lance battles with the third fang of the Magia Lupus, a user of mud magic, seeming to be a natural counter to Lance's gravity magic. Lance is able to turn the tables through clever environmental factors, as well as his use of the second magic, tearing his opponent's summon to shreds. Mash battles with Abyss Razor, who seems to have Mash on the defensive until Mash manages to catch Abyss off guard with a flurry of attacks that sends him into discussing his childhood trauma. Mash accepting Abyss as a fellow human being who simply had a rough past and a tough upbringing.
We get a lot of action in these ones. We start
It's a
off with
lot
the
of action.
fight. A lot of action in these last 4 episodes. Definitely. We get some mud clones, and they're I don't know if we got the name. I think I got the name last episode, but I forgot this guy's name. The one that was fighting Lance with the mud stuff. Either way,
I don't think they ever say it, actually.
okay.
But
They
the
all
wiki
get like
says
their
a
own.
worth.
Yeah, something like that. But he is trying to persuade Lance to go to the Magia Lupus. So it's like he's talking and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, we need somebody like you or whatever." And Lance is just not having any of it. He has his crew, and I'm like, "Yes, Lance loves his friends." We find out. We get a lot of information about magical essence, about the magic. I love that they're kind of like drip feeding this stuff to us, because if they did like one huge lore dump, I'd have been like, okay, whatever. But now we know about the different types of magic as well. There's basic magic, personal magic, and conditional magic. And there's higher tier spells that only a few double liners can cast, which is why he does the second graviole. And it's just more powerful. And this little power system, I'm just like, okay, that's just a way to step it up a little bit, to where they don't have to explain super insane amounts of magic. Like, okay, we already knew that the double liners were more powerful, but they get access to this other tier. It's like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's easy enough for me to understand and go with it. Um, we get the whole backstory about Abyss Razor. I really like this fight mainly because of the arrows. The arrows
Mhm.
looked a lot like something in Soul Eater, which is an anime on the list. But I've been reading Soul Eater, and there's a character that has like these arrows that are kind of like snaky kind of things, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I like that." But let's see. Match fights Abyss Razor. Lemon is getting drained of power, and Abyss Razor is faster than Mash, and Mash gets impaled, but he clenches his abs and eats the sword.
Abdominal magic.
It's getting there to where I'm like, I think at this point, if you are out, like if this point you were out and you're like, fuck this show, I would be like, okay, that's cool. Like I get it. Because he had the sword inside of him and he's like, nope, I got it. It's
Gotcha.
mine. So like are his insides muscular too? Like does he just have like a beefy heart that has
Maybe.
muscles
I
and
mean,
lung?
it like that looked like it hit him. Yeah, if it hit him in the abs, that's like his stomach, and
Yeah.
he didn't like. He just went straight through. So it could be similar to like when a bullet, just goes clean through somebody and doesn't damage internal organs. But
What
that's
do
a
you mean?
that's a
It does.
that's a sword. Well, it like there's the rare case. There's the rare outlying stranger things have happened type beat things,
Okay.
where medical stories and such, but we're talking about an anime, so I'm sorry, not trying to be any sense of realism here.
I thought about it.
Because it goes clean through him, like we
Yeah.
see it. It's like coming out. There's an exit wound, but he's just
Mhm.
like, gotcha.
It's a little far-fetched and a little out there. So if you stopped at that point and you were like, "I'm good. I get this anime. It's not for me." I would have been
Yeah.
like, "Okay, that's
And
fine."
even the fact that like it seems like Abyss is kind of getting a bunch of attacks in on him. He's got all this blood spraying everywhere, and you would think like is like blood loss gonna get him or anything? But no, Ash
They
just does not care.
Blood loss has been a thing. I don't know if it's an issue for me, like a complete issue. It's just been a thing I've noticed. Every time they fight, whether it be
There's a
Lance
lot
or
of blood.
Mash, they just be bleeding dots, bleeds a lot in this. And it's just like, is that not a thing? They just get bloodied and then I guess they have magic to heal them. But like in the moment, like this in other anime, this would be like killing blows. This is what a character would look like when they're about done, but they're just drenched in blood and they're like, all right, let's keep going. And it's like, okay, brother. So
Now we're getting started.
yeah. Remember those memes? I think it was TikTok where the guy just goes flying. He's like, you haven't seen nothing
Goes
yet.
flying through four walls. It's
Yeah.
it's the fight like the Budokai games where you would like hit somebody so hard and it would like transition into a different part
Into
of the
the different,
stage,
yeah.
and like it only made them take like 5% of their HP damage. It's
Mhm.
like, bro, I
Pretty
took them through 5
much.
walls.
You throw them on, you kick them so high and they go to another planet and then you're on a new stage and you're like,
Exactly.
well, we got to fight here now, I guess. Um, but I just thought about it because we see Mash using his lungs a lot. I just pictured his lungs with muscles on them, so that could be possible.
It's like
Um,
the salty spittoon. You
yeah,
gotta have muscles on your muscles.
pretty much.
You
That
gotta
is
have
Mash.
muscles on your eyeballs.
That's how I
Mash
picture
fits into the salty
Mash's.
spittoon.
Yeah, he's just eating all those calories and building muscle. We find out for sure now what Abyss Razor's sort of ability is, that he has the evil eye, and whoever it gazes on, they cannot use magic. Mash punches his sword, full muscles magic. He just names his abilities as he's going. Hurricane
Quadricep
Rush,
magic, tricep magic,
full muscles magic.
pectoral magic. He just
Mhm.
goes through it.
And then we get sort of like throughout this whole thing, like you were saying, we get sort of like he gets punched into his backstory, right? Like he gets he gets punched into like
They get punched
retrospective.
into their trauma dump.
Yeah, and I think it's happened before in this anime, but it happens a lot where it's like, how can this be? Boom, just like black and white. Here's my backstory. I'm like, okay, cool. But like we get like this, which is kind of telling to how the anime ends, but like we get this whole sort of like, oh, that he didn't grow up in a great way. He was locked in a cell by his parents.
Yes.
His parents tried to
The
kill him,
show
bro.
very much uses like the trauma of the bad guys so far, Langdorm specifically. It kind of paints them in this picture of, nature versus nurture, where each of them were raised in environments that led them to having the beliefs that they do, where they would feel as though society has like taken something from them and they have to use their power to ensure that just whatever it is that they're feeling happens,
That
which
you
in
had.
Abel's case it's just like we'll get to Abel, but here in this person's case it's like they felt like they were thrown away by the only family that they had, so when somebody finally came along and gave them a purpose, they sunk right into that.
Hey, I'm gonna use you from now on. Okay, yes, please. Found family. No, but there is a story there. There is a story to be told about the world, and we're building the world how we already know because it was in episode 1 that if you don't have magic, you die. And we're first like, wait a minute, hold on. And then we find out some other stuff about the world, how there's pure blooded people in the lines of magic that are better than everybody else, quote unquote. And these characters are being shaped by their environment and the world and the bad world. And there's like a completely really cool story to be told in that but I don't think this show's gonna tell it because it just wants to be super silly, goofy. But so it's like dropping us a little bit in these backstories
It's
about
breadcrumbing us here and there.
yeah, and I'm cool with it, and I'm also conscious enough to say it's not going to tell that story fully. Really, it's just going to give us cool characters that have some sort of redemption, and I'm okay with that. But there is a cool story there that could be told if they wanted to, but they're going to keep with the cream pies for sure.
What?
I mean, what are they called?
The cream puffs.
Oh, okay. I was watching a different show, I guess. I don't know.
Crunchyroll, right?
Yeah, it's Crunchyroll. Oh, geez, wrong website. Episode 10, Mash Bernadette and the Divine
A
Visionary. What
worm right
happens in
here?
episode 10? I'm in the dirty.
um, so we see Rain entering the dungeon before Dot attempts to take on Love, the fifth fang of the Magia Lupus. Love belittles Mash, which sends Dot into an overdrive mode, which intimidates Love to back down from the fight. However, Milo, the fourth fang, arrives and catches Dot off guard with an attack on Finn. Rain arrives, Adler Dorm's Divine Visionary, and wipes the floor with Milo, beginning an interrogation, sending everyone else away, also finding and confronting Mash, measuring his magical output, and surprised to see him having a 0 on the charts. Rain sends Mash on his way with a magical handkerchief, and then Mash arrives to confront Abel, breaking down another door. Where's the door counter?
Oh, yeah, we're like at 4 or 5. I want to like Finn, bro. I want to like Finn. If we were on a tier list of my favorite characters right now, this episode, Dot, of course. Like I told you last episode, I'm like, this Dot is my guy. I'm like, hell yeah, brother. And in this episode, he goes full freak crazy mode, and I'm like, bro, let's go. In this whole, we're gonna talk about it, but in the hierarchy of people, Finn is at my lowest right now because
I don't
one,
blame you.
I'm not a fan of Finn. I want to like him. He's that scaredy boy, whatever. And granted, they haven't given us a whole lot of backstory on him either. Probably the least
Other than
amount of
his brother.
backstory. Yeah, and whenever his brother does show up, there's not even a whole lot of like connection there. Like I thought there would have been something to connect them and make me like Finn more, or him like have resentment towards his brother or anything. There's not a whole lot of that. And
Yeah, after the whole, oh, I feel bad for playing pranks on you because, you know, the rich kid was telling me to, Finn doesn't, I feel like, kind of gets shelved as far as like, you
yeah,
know, getting to be a part of anything. And it's a shame because, like, we get the introduction of Dot, which is great. And then we get his fight with the, you know, the steel
love.
guy,
Oh, this,
or
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
rock guy, and then we get his fight with the vine guy, and now we're getting the fight with the wind girl. And Dot's gotten 3 fights when Finn has gotten 0
What
at this
can he
point.
do?
So it's,
What
yeah,
are
it's
Finn's
like
abilities?
I feel bad not liking him, but I don't feel like the story is giving him a good chance to be very
Sure.
likable,
Mhm.
unfortunately. But that's where we're left, where it's just like, what does he do? He stands in the back and kind of like, even in the final confrontation, like Dot,
That was like, I have to protect him.
yeah, he's like,
Huh?
I have to stand here protecting these
You're
two.
you're at the top magic school, right? And everybody but Mash has abilities, right? You have to have shown yourself at some point. Where are you? I was just
Where's
really
the
mad.
aptitude?
Yeah, because in the last episode we talked about, it was all leading up to, okay, these guys fight this person's gonna fight and then we got Dot and Finn. I was like, hell yeah, we got some tag team fucking fighting, and then Milo leaves, and then Love's just there to fight, and I'm like, oh, okay, I wanted like some tag team magic spell shit, and we didn't get that, and we don't even see what Finn can do. So I was a little disappointed in Finn, but really my fucking boy right here. Oh my god, Dot's so cool. So Dot loses his headband, and of course, gushing about Lemon always. Dot, we have some backstory about him. He has an older sister. He doesn't stick up for himself. But then Dot goes Super Saiyan, and we find out some more information about the cross that's on his head that he was covering this whole time. Comes Battle Demon, and apparently, whenever people that have this cross get emotionally overwhelmed, or
Yeah,
what's a better word? Just some
over emotional when
oh,
they're uh, yeah, overflowing with emotion.
they go into this battle state that is just way more complex. How do you feel? I know you've seen the show and I know you've seen season 2, but for me, I was like, okay, like again, we see the one line person, then we get the double line person, then we have Abel with three lines
Hmm.
on his head, and now we have like a little cross and stuff,
Hmm.
which makes me feel like they're gonna keep adding stuff in to fit the plot or fit the narrative,
Hmm.
and I'm like, it was a cool reveal for Dot here in this moment because we've already established our connection with this character, but in the future, I don't know how many more of those reveals I kind of got left in me. So how do you
Sure.
feel about them adding this
Up to
nuance?
now, I like the idea that, Dot has this older sister that, tells him, if you ever find a true friend, you need to stick up for them.
Yeah.
And it's Dot going that into rage mode over somebody else. I like that whole concept because if we had just seen that out of Dot in the first fight with Silva, I don't think it would have held as much impact because like we
No.
needed Mash to kind of like become really good friends for him. He's like,
Mhm.
nobody's ever up for me like Mash did. So that's where that comes from.
Mhm.
And I like the emotional payoff of that between the two of them. But if the show just continues to throw in more power scaling for the sake of power scaling, it can get tired fast. Whereas now we've kind of seen people's different. We've had even if it's not super complex, we've had a little bit of a fleshing out of the whole basic magic, personal magic, etc. We see the little pyramid implying the only certain people can work their way up to the higher tiers of magic. So I just feel like the show would be better off playing with that concept now that we have that completely established and like set in stone. Because even with the fight between Lance and the mud guy, it's interesting to see like, oh, like he's made of mud. Like you can't slam mud and like
Mhm.
hurt it. So how's he gonna come out of this? And that creates the whole environment of interesting problem, interesting solution using interesting powers. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's kind of where the show would be able to like really take itself into the second season and flourish. But I know where the second season goes, and I
Sure.
don't quite remember it going that direction.
Okay, because that's where the fun is. That's where fun is,
If you're asking
where
me.
yeah, and me too, because you're like, okay, this is mud where Lance has a specific ability that needs a certain thing to work well. So he has to figure out how to get around it. Or when Lance was fighting as well, um, and he made the little owls like that, even though that's self-imposed with the whole owl bit where he made the food and then the owls all went to the food and whatever. That's the fun part, working around the problem. But and as much as I love Dot going some sort of Super Saiyan in this episode, I'm like apprehensive for the future because I'm
Mhm.
like, this is cool, but in a way, I want more of that other fighting stuff. I want that more the protagonist finding their brain. I mean, I love the way that he did like the timer bombs around one of the guys he
Mhm.
fought down in the bottom. And so yeah, it was just really interesting that this was the solution. And I was like, oh,
We're just
crazy.
gonna power him up.
We're gonna power him up,
Yeah.
whatever.
Which
We get it.
it like
Mhm.
when you talk about Dot being like the like main character protagonist energy, like again, for me, it makes sense that Dot is the one that gets this power up stage
Yeah.
because he's that I'm the main character, blah blah blah. And usually the main character like oftentimes in shonen media, main character, there's this ancient evil, and for some reason it gets locked away in the main character, and they can only access that power when they're in an overwhelming emotional state.
What?
Naruto.
That that's only
It's
happened like 100 times in
only
anime
happened
and
100
manga.
times.
What do you mean?
Naruto, JJK, Demon Slayer. I don't know about Demon Slayer actually. I mean, you like the Demon Slayer twisted with Nezuko. Anyways, yeah. So it's like it is in its right mind by giving that to Dot,
To
in
Dot.
my opinion. Even though it's just kind of like, I hope we don't just start introducing a bunch of overdrive states.
Which is, yeah, definitely. And again, Dot's my favorite character, but also really sad that we didn't see more of Finn, because we get the introduction of his brother, who is the divine visionary Rain Ames, who we know now is there at school. He's Adler's top student. He knows that Innocence Zero's people have infiltrated the castle, all the people that he rescued out of the place. The other place, have infiltrated the castle, and they're looking for something. Rain gives Mash advice, and we go on to episode 11. So let's get rolling. Episode 11, Mash, Bernadette, and the survival of the fittest. What happens? Oh, and then Mash finds Abel and breaks the door. Yeah. Mash, Bernadette, and the survival of the fittest. What happens in episode 11?
Abel has their monologue discussing the world that they want to create, and Mash disagrees. Abel going on to have all of his attacks deflected by Mash. Abel uses a mannequin Finn to attack Mash, but he's able to withstand all of the attacks, and then turns on Abel directly. Abel turns Mash into a puppet, but his spinal reflex breaks the spell while also attacking Abel. Mash counters Abel's second attack and provides a pile driver in rebuttal. Abel shares their past trauma, leading to Mash to forgive him, as everyone celebrates that the day has been saved. But in the dungeon, the followers of Innocent Zero still remain.
I totally forgot about the spinal reflex that I wrote here, but yeah, that was the whole thing. So Mash meets with Lord Abel and finds out people without magic die. I mean, he did know this, right? Or was this him like finding out? Because it seemed like, yes, was this Mash finding out? He's like, everybody in this world that doesn't have magic should die. And he was like, what? No way. And I was like, did he just find out? Did you just find out now that people don't?
I don't even know if I've ever thought about that.
That's why he was being protected by his dad this whole time, because he doesn't have magic and you will die, bro. And he seemed like this was the first time anybody had told him that. And he's like, whoa, no, what?
Well,
no
you
way.
know, because I totally have magic. What are you talking about? It's just I have magic. I'm just what are you talking about?
We get a cute little scene with Mash as a baby. Mash as a baby was super cute. And we get tons of fighting in this one as well. The puppets, Mash just bowling them over. The puppets have acid in them. Abel makes Mash a puppet. And first, Abel captures Finn and made him a puppet. But he flicked the coin and again just thumb power, flick the coin to cut all the strings off of Finn, and the spinal reflex. So this was probably the funniest thing for me. I don't know. Well, okay, first he breaks his fucking face, bro. What a badass move right here. I
love the whole he's like, you know, trying to hold him in place with the threads, and Mash through sheer willpower and strength like breaks his hand. All of the fingers snap back as he tries to hold Mash in place. That's just like, that's hype. The first finger snapping, I'm just like
yeah, that was so cool.
I get it.
And they do again, and they going through all of them, and then just a knee to the face. Like Mash,
and you know that's the first time anybody's laid hands on that guy.
Oh yeah,
like he was not expecting to take any damage.
No, he doesn't remember what pain feels like, and he's just in this phase. He's like, whoa, this hurts. This doesn't feel good. He's like, whoa, like that's the kind of vibe.
I've been doing this to other people, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty messed up. What?
Man, wow, it's weird being on the other end for once. But they go into this whole explanation about the spinal reflex, and it didn't click till about halfway through that it was Mash's reaction to him grabbing the cream puff. And I don't know why they were like spinal, like he's like, I have total control of his body. What happened? Well, actually, in humans, sometimes there are these things where, and they explained it well, because I was like, okay.
They explained it, you know, like if you touch a hot pan, your body is going to react to that before your brain can go, oh, that's a hot pan, I shouldn't touch it. Your body reacts to it naturally through a process that cuts off and like doesn't utilize the brain, where Abel's spell directly interfaces with somebody's brain to give them the appearance of being a puppet, whereas externally they just have the appearance of being turned into one. Internally, they remain a complete human. So they're basically wearing a puppet costume while the magic just kind of tells their body what to do.
And I was so on board with that explanation, the hot hand, the hitting your knee and your leg goes up. I was like, oh, that makes total sense the way they're
Yep.
explaining it. And I was more into like the explanation of what they're trying to teach me. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is really good. Like, this is a good explanation for what's happening. And then after that, I was like, oh, it's because he grabbed his cream puff. I died laughing because it's so good. He just,
I thought that was in my pocket.
yeah, his subconscious reflex that his body automatically goes to because somebody
took a
touched his cream puff.
I bet if he found the gold coin, nothing would have happened.
Yeah, that's true. We get some other high level spell harm puppet mariner second, so we find Abel using some second level spells. When invisible strings touch anything, they will become a puppet within a 10-meter or mile radius or
It was like
whatever.
100 meters because then Love's like, oh no, that means me too.
Yeah, and Mash is just insane because I don't know if this is the screen cap for it, but he's just super fast. And
he angles his body at a way to where one side of his body is going to get hit first, and the second he feels the connection of the attack, he uses the other half of his body to grab the entire attack before he loses control of his other side.
And they continue the what happened?
Oh, I saw what happened. Let me tell you what I saw.
Yeah. Can I believe my eyes? Because what I just saw was explanation of entire sequence. Is that getting tired for you, or like, are you still on board?
Get tired because I feel like it has just enough like where you're held in the anticipation of like, oh shit, like something actually just went down, and then like he's just like comes out unscathed. And then it's like, well, yeah, we want to know what happens to get for him to be unscathed. And if it slowed down to just show that happening, it would take away from the comedy of the absurdity of how quick those things happened and how fast Mash is able to like adapt and create a situation where he comes out on top.
And I could understand
that's the absurdity factor.
Yes, and I can understand a portion of the audience that would be like, this is tiring, this is dumb. But for me, it does work. And I'm sure for you it did work, but I can see as well where they're like, okay, stop this silly game, whatever you're doing, where you recap everything we didn't see.
I really do like think that when we talked about it in the first 4 episodes, it's what's the bit? He uses his muscles, and now the question is how many different ways can we tell that joke? So I feel like it finds fresh ways to present the fact that he is able to like just somehow get the upper hand on these people who have literal magic.
Yes.
He does not.
Cosmo says, Zeddy, Alley, and Peppy Jules, any face bonks with logs in Mashle? No, but homie got his face wrecked.
We got knee to the face. We got a suplex and a pile drive.
It was pile drives. It was indeed a tombstone pile driver. Call that one. So good. Insane, bro. That breaks necks if you don't do it right.
And I love I love the way Mash has no remorse in the moment. And then it's after they like, trauma dump, then he's like, oh man, I guess you're not that bad.
Maybe
cream puff next time. And they're just like my neck's broken. But cream puff.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. We again, the main baddie gets insanely smashed up into a flashback of everything. Like when you're done, when you're at your end of how much you can stay awake from all the pain you've taken, now let's talk about the backstory. We did that with Abyss Razor. But Abel flashbacks to his mother, and somebody stabbed her. She was good and was distributing food to the poor, and he holds some resentment to that there is no good in the world because of the commoner that killed her. And Mash does end up saying, hey man, you're actually not that bad of a guy. You're just doing it for your mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes, and then we get into going into the final episode. I thought this was Lance, and I was like, has Lance been, because this innocent zero character, which we later find out's name is Cell War,
Mhm.
I was like,
Oh,
was
you thought that was
Lance
like Lance
him
the whole
the
semester?
whole time?
No,
Yes,
no, no,
because
no,
he was
no.
just walking, and then what's his name? Rain comes up, is like, clocked you, and I was like, was was I living a lie? Because I really liked Lance, but no, it does turn out that this person was just in disguise. But this is Cell War from Innocent Zero's posse, and they're searching for something. So Rain has to fight John Pierre, who's a serial killer and a cannibal. So that's how episode 11 ends, and that's the penultimate episode. Now the final episode of season 1 for Mashle. Episode 12, Mash, Bernadette, and the Magic Mirror. What happens in episode 12?
Cell War arrives to confront Abel on their defeat. Mash interjects with a board of cream puffs and sneezes them at Cell War. Abyss returns just in time to save Abel from a life-threatening attack, and Mash provides his handkerchief to slow down the damage. Mash fights with Cell until Abel and Abyss are able to reconcile their trauma and defect to assist Mash in the fight against Cell, who pulls out an ancient artifact that deflects any and all kind of magic tenfold. Mash shatters it, leaving everyone befuddled. Cell War departs after a mark appears on their hand, possibly indicating some secret power Mash may hold. And with Abyss Razor stable, everyone decides they need to keep Mash's secret about not having magic. However, the puppeted students wake up just in time for everybody to hear everything. The secret cat is out of the bag. Something like
Which
that.
is a great catch for season 2.
For season 2, yeah.
I love that they left. It's not like I mean, it is somewhat of a cliffhanger for the fighting wise, because Cell War does end up leaving
Mhm.
and not getting that definitive kill. But we also get this other hook that's like, hey, this one thing that we've based this show on that nobody can find
Has now
out.
been turned on its head.
And I love that. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta wait for season 2. I gotta watch season 2 or whatever. So that's a great hook for a show where it's not just like, oh, I gotta beat, it could have been something else, but they hooked you on what got you into the anime, sort of. It's not like, um, oh, if they wouldn't have added that, I think it would have been sort of a letdown, and it
Yeah.
would have just like faded down in intensity, and I've been like, okay, this is a fine ending for season 1, but they kept it there to make you anticipate season 2, which is really good. So episode 12 starts out, they continue celebrating. Mash has to go pee, which is interesting. The Cell War goes to kill Abel because he's done a bad job, man. Abel just ain't worth it, so he's gonna go kill him. And Abel gives them info about Wahlberg, which is interesting. So that's why the Innocent Zero people had Abel working, and he got them some information about Wahlberg that was needed possibly for some sort of diabolical scheme that's coming up soon. We got cream puffs going on this JoJo character here. Um, and apparently Mash is the one they've been looking for. There has been a couple of things in this one, like the thing that goes onto Cell War's hand, and there's a couple times where Cell is like, could it be? Is this the one?
He said
What's
something
going
like,
on?
I wasn't resonating before, but now I am, now that he's in the room. Something like
He's
that, where he's
he's
like, no,
tingling.
now that this guy's in the room, I feel different. Why is
So what does that mean? I'm not asking. I'm
that?
asking as a rhetorical
Yeah.
question because I don't want to know. But what could that mean? Because this, does he have some sort of latent power? Would that undermine what the show is, or could it explain why Mashle has been able to do all the feats he's been doing with just training muscles? It could go either way, right?
It
Because
could go either way. Yeah.
yeah, because it could be like, oh, well, actually, he was magic, and everything and all the setup for all this stuff is moot now. And it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay, well, that sucks, man. Like,
Which
the
is
whole premise was this, that he doesn't have any magic, and now
which
he
is
has
almost
some layer
like
of magic.
that's like when you say it like that to me, it puts in my head like that's going the Black Clover route, where like you had Asta who could never use magic, but then it turns out like, oh, he has this super niche type of magic that if he utilizes correctly is basically like an all counter, but
Yeah.
he has to use it correctly. It's kind of like going that route, but like, yeah, you could also go in a direction where instead of like latent magic, it's like maybe just something in his bloodline, like a blood relation, that's causing him to make other people who maybe by association of some kind are being affected by it.
Sure.
Instead of it being like an
Well,
intrinsic thing.
yeah, I was thinking more of why, like, let's say if Mash and another student trained the same amount every day,
Hmm.
let's say it was him and Lance training, doing the same moves, doing the same push-ups, same whatever, bench presses and all that. For some reason, Mash will
Ash gets
always
more out
be
of it.
better, that
Hmm.
he gets more out of it. So I would hope that that underlying thing, while I agree what you said was cool, was that he's somehow affecting everybody else. I think a way they could do it is that what we've seen is that it's in him that makes him able to uh, grow muscles faster or intake calories in a different way. If they explain it that like that, I'm cool with that. Or it's just like, oh well, yeah, for some reason your bloodline is just better at growing muscles, and this has been uh a dormant thing that nobody has used ever in your bloodline, but you
Yeah.
started using it, and here
Because I
we
mean, even
are.
his pops, you know, is his adopted, you know, pops. And
Yeah.
he was an orphan that was found, so we have no idea who his parents are. Were his parents magic users? Were they non-magical people that didn't have, you know, marks?
Or it's something like a recessive gene in the people that don't have magic, where it's like, wait, actually this is really good, but they didn't get the magic gene, they got this other gene, and it's like, wait, they're actually, we should actually not be killing them in the end. That's what I'm
Season 2
thinking.
has some answers.
What? No
Some
way.
answers.
Something interesting that I saw when we're doing like an Abel flashback when he was a kid.
He only has two
What
marks as a kid.
what the fuck is that?
He
What
only
the
has
fuck?
two marks.
What's that about? 'Cause that's exactly what I was gonna
Notice.
say. Abel
Yep.
had 2 lines as a child, and then we get flashback to his face, and he has 3, and I was like,
Yep.
"Hold on, what does that mean?
We
Is
have
it
that,
fake?"
and then we also didn't talk anything about the fact that like apparently the Magia lupus have like access to this like chemical X substance that
Yeah,
also puts them into like an overdrive state.
yeah, we just kinda brushed over it because they
we,
just
we
kinda
forgot to
brushed
talk about
over it.
yeah they really do.
They were just like,
So
"Hey,
it's
we
just
have
like,
this."
yeah, whatever it is that's going on, it definitely alludes to the fact that there's like now that we get Cell War and like, you know, they seem to have been controlling Abel, it's like how deep does it go?
Yeah, definitely, but I think we can all agree that Abel and Abyss are the broship that I have come out of this anime just wishing for. I love them together. I love their
Pretty
love
sure
for each
season
other.
2 kind of like makes them very like platonic MLM for sure. It's
Mm,
like I love it for them, don't get me wrong, but it's like
yeah.
it's just like is that Stockholm? What's the
I mean, yeah,
like
but like if Abyss is okay with it, I'm okay with it. He found his boyfriend, brother. I want them to smooch. That's all I wanted there at the end when Abel just flew out of nowhere and took it for Abel. Oh my god, dude.
Mhm,
Abyss's love for Abel who's using him. Find me a love like that.
for real.
Find me somebody that'll use me. Yes, of course. Abel helps out Mash. Uh, Abel figures out that he has to use his privilege for the right reasons, and he uses power magic. We get the what the episode is named after, the magic mirror, the spellification mirror, and it's a mirror that can reflect any spell. The Bureau had it
This is
locked up.
the payoff. Like I'm just saying,
I
like
mean, yes,
if
yes,
this
yes, yes, yes.
doesn't do it for you,
That's
Like
true, because what came out of it was that
what the
everybody
setup for season 2 is. Yeah.
his whole crew finds out that he doesn't have magic for the first time. But like, and because everybody knew about it, the way that Dot was explaining, he's like, "Oh my god, don't do it! This is the spellification mirror. It'll reflect your magic." And homie's just like this, and we knew as the audience, we knew it was gonna be like Mash is gonna break that fucking shit. But I think the payoff was really good. At first, I was like, okay, he's gonna do the thing. He's gonna do the thing, of course. But
You
what
forget for a
really
moment that like everybody still is under this impression that like he is using magic. He just might be a little quirky, a little goofy. He likes to. But
that's
then it's like, oh, that time and that time
and everybody
and
figures
that
it out
time.
instantly.
Like
Yeah, yeah. They're going
never.
back through it. So yes, that was it made it work for me because of what came out of it. And I was like, oh, okay, here's the crux of what was bringing it up. It wasn't just another mash smashes a thing for the bit. It was more of like, oh, this leads
This is a
into
development. Yeah.
the greater story, which is great. Selwar leaves and a mark appeared because Mash touched him. Everyone realizes Mash doesn't use magic, and the crew want to protect Mash's secret, mainly because Mash is their friend, but also because everybody that around him that knew about it could end up being potentially expelled or something like that. The puppetized students are going to tell. And so at the very end, after the credits, they had a scene where Selwar reports back to his
Oh,
father, and innocent Zero tries asks them to retrieve Mash. So it was like a really short scene after the credits. I was like, let me see if it has like some sort of sneak peek to season 2. But Selwar says, "Father, he's there. I know." And it's like, we gotta get him. So into season 1 for Mashle, Magic and Muscles. Now the fun part. We get to rank the anime on our list. We rank it in 3 different categories: animation, storytelling, and vibes. And then we put it up on our board against all of the anime we've seen this season. So Matt, for animation, what would you rank Mashle, Magic and Muscles?
animation, I'm giving it a B, more of like a B plus. It was very, consistent. I do feel like in some of the later episodes we do get more things that feel like the budget seems to be used disparingly in the last 4 episodes. Like it's
Okay.
not there's no budget, but there are points where I'm like, it feels like they put way more time into some of these other bits than they did. So that's what gives it a B, because that's why I'm giving it a B, because it just felt a little inconsistent in these last 4 episodes in terms of the budgeting. But even when it wasn't like at its peak, it was never doing anything that's like, oh, this is really bad, I can't watch this. I like the effects of all the different magics, the like the styles of all the different characters that we get to see. The world is very vibrant and colorful, and so yeah, it's like I feel like there's a lot to like, but I feel like there's also just a lot of room for potential for
Sure.
sure. Jules, where are you gonna rank MASH on animation?
I'm giving it an A. While I do understand where they did cut some corners in some of the scenes and stuff, uh, I think it was just overwhelmingly positive when just a cool shot happened, and cool shots just happened consistently. When Mash goes into his other mode, you forget entirely his derpy sort of thing that he does every outside of fighting. Like I completely forget, and this feels like such a different character every single time. We can't see his eyes, his hair goes down, or they do like a shot that's just zooming in on his foot gripping the ground, like that stuff. And it's just so little where it's just like, it makes me feel. And I'm like, yes, this is what animation feels like. I
It
loved
does
it.
feel very kinetic.
It feels so good. And while I do, yes, recognize the cutting corners sometimes, I just am so enamored by Dot's abilities, by Lance's abilities. We got Abyss Razor, all of that stuff is, and I could be just looking at it with rose colored glasses for sure. And it could be just my taste, but I'm just like, every time I'm just like, this scene's whoa, like it
Brings
just
back, brings back.
brings me up so much, and it puts a smile. I was like genuinely bringing smile to my face by what was being put on screen. So I'm like, this is so good. So I gave it an A. Hello, Claire. I'm not sure your rank counts. I mean, come on, do you even lift? Oh, yeah. You actually have to lift deadlift over 200 for your votes to count. So
Dang.
um
Well, bye everyone.
well, goodbye. Storytelling, Matt, where would you put Mashal on storytelling?
Storytelling, I'm also giving it a B. More like just leaning more to B plus. I was having a really hard time on my, on my animation and storytelling ratings between B and A, because like it does a lot well, and like I also am trying to remind myself that I have seen it before, so I'm trying to not let that be a
Cloud,
factor,
yeah.
like that cloud my ratings.
Judgment rating.
But storytelling wise, I feel like it held up very well on a rewatch, where again, you just, what's the core concept? Oh, he's going to use his muscles instead of magic, but it manages to keep the situations interesting. It manages to keep new characters coming into the fold enough to where it doesn't ever feel like things are getting over bloated. It feels as though the like the whole concept of Mash having to go to this magic school, again, it's handled really well. And I feel as though it's only because I'm rewatching it that I can more like just identify some of the room for more room for improvement, room for more potential that I just want out of this show. But like what it gives us as a story is really good, start to finish, leading off, ending off with a good cliffhanger. Again, it's just one of those things where I feel like because of the nature of the more comedic elements, it's gonna fall into a weird zone for people where if like it's not making you consistently laugh, like the story probably isn't going to be compelling. I feel like the story is compelling because of the characters that we meet, and I took that more into account on my vibes rating, so I'm giving it a B plus, more on storytelling. Jules, where did you leave Mash with storytelling?
I gave it a B as well because, like you were just saying, I think the enjoyment, mainly for the story here, is my attachment to the characters, and it was a cool concept. I really do think that's a really cool concept that this person is a fish out of water here, but he has to cover it up, and then we get this whole other sort of story that blossoms from the characters at the school. But I am just more engaged with the characters, I think, and the story is more of a backdrop, I guess, of him
Vessel.
getting through school, trying to become the divine visionary, because we have all these things that are happening with Innocent Zero, and then we have this whole other thing with the dorm situation where these people turn out to be bad, these Magus Lupus, and it's like a little scattered here and there, and then we got a lot of fighting stuff, which is went into play with my animation and vibes rating. But as far as like the core storytelling, it's okay. We did a lot of flashbacks in crucial scenes, which is cool, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It just maybe could have been a little bit more diverse in the way they told story. It did seem sort of like, hey, this worked this one time, let's do it again, and let's do it again, and let's do it again for this character, this
Let's
character,
stick
this
to our
character.
guns
Yeah, let's stick to our
and
guns.
to keep the
Let's.
narrative moving, because
Mhm.
we want to put him in more ridiculous situations with his muscles.
Yeah, and while that's okay, it wasn't exemplary. So I think
Agree.
it would be for storytelling for me. As far as vibes, what would you put Mashal for vibes?
Vibes, I'm giving it an A. I really like the characters. I really like the idea satirizing this magical world with a one fish out of water that just breaks the mold, and that character is here to kind of create the upset and the change that this world, some people want and some people need, but nobody's been able to achieve. So that whole, like, for me, the characters are in this setting where they get to just really play off of each other in these outlandish ways, and it's always having fun. Like with Mashal, I just feel
Yeah.
like that's one of the biggest things, is that it's a fun show, and it doesn't want to be anything other than that, minus when you dive into the character's past a little bit. But then like you can come right out with Mash saying you're not so bad, and then you're laughing at that whole idea. So like it knows how to have fun. It really wants to put like a smile on your face and just make you a little bit more cheerful than you were before you watched it. And
Yup.
I'm all okay with that because there's so many characters to like. There's so many little situations and quirks about the world itself that you can just find yourself just being totally cracked up by.
Yup.
So it's fun, it's funny, and it doesn't take itself seriously, and that's why I'm giving it an A on the vibes. Jules, where do you rate it on vibes?
I'm giving it an S because this was so much fun. I am just here for the epic anime moments. I'm here for some really cool characters. Fell in love with some characters. Love the magic stuff that's been shown on screen and all the craziness. And it was just getting you to smile, and you will know if you will smile after the first like 2 or 3 episodes. You'll know if this is your thing or not. And I didn't know this was gonna be my thing. Some of the funny bits didn't overstay its welcome to where like they keep doing it in succession, the same sort of joke, same sort of joke, and it's like, okay, that's not enough. It had a lot of variety in that essence, where it gave me the funny, it gave me some action, it gave me this, gave me some funny bits with these characters. These two characters are going and
It's
introduce more characters.
Yeah.
I'm like, give it to me. I'm here for it.
It's and like the whole idea, what I forgot to add is the whole idea that we have a very solid parallel to work with, where we kind of know
What do you mean?
where we know the like certain established factors and like
Rules.
rules and stuff. So it's just it has fun with just taking some of those things and just going and just like now,
Sure.
now we're just gonna bite each end and
I mean,
and not care about the rule anymore.
yeah, I mean, even by the end, I sort of just forget about that stuff. Like at the
Mhm.
beginning, that could
At
be
the front,
why you're getting into it, because it's like, oh, look, it's like the other show. It's like the other thing. Oh my God, I love this. This is making fun of the thing. And it's just like that. But then by the end of it, I'm like not even thinking about it. And
yeah,
it's like on its own.
it does so much to set itself apart and become its own thing while still knowing exactly where it comes from.
Yeah. And that's so cool because even like the last 4 episodes, really, I didn't even think about like the allusions to Harry Potter or anything like that. So I was like, this is its own thing. I'm in it for Mashle. I'm in it for his crew, and vibes were an S for me. So with all of that and your votes as well, where does this anime rank on our list? Mashle, Magic and Muscles is in A rank anime.
Woo!
Another
Woo!
Adding another one to the list
What were they
here.
doing? Hooray! 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 Hooray!
Yes, definitely a lot of Mashle hoorays. Wow, from Gemini. Yes, I really liked it. Again, this is all very subjective. Matt had already watched the first or the 2
I've
seasons
already
that are
seen
out,
both seasons.
so
Yeah.
he watched it on his free time, and I was watching it for the first time. I really enjoyed it. It was really dumb, but I definitely understand, like I was saying in this episode, if it's not your thing, and
Yeah.
it's definitely can not be your thing for a little bit, and for some people, so that's okay. A rank from Mashle here on our board. So again, the growing good anime that we've seen. There's been a ton of anime here that we've watched, and we get another A rank. So with Mashle out of it, we cannot talk about magic anymore. No more muscles, zero muscles left. We have to pick a brand new anime to watch, and Matt has the chest to pick out the next anime we're gonna watch. What are we gonna watch all together? Oh my god, I don't even know what I want to watch. Code Yes at the top feels correct. Yes, it was really good. Um, that's it. One of these anime we're gonna watch for the next 3 weeks, and we
This
hope
one is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
finally we got a
Yeah, that one's been in
long.
there for a long time.
That one's been in there for a while. Who was that?
That's
Do you have it?
Alex Alex Wick.
Cool.
It's my
Thank you
roommate,
so much.
Alex.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Alex, for putting an anime in the chest. And that was one of Bubsy's pick. Bubsy, I think we still need another pick from you because we didn't put Summertime Rendering in there. Is it wrong to pick up Girls in
He
the Dungeon?
wanted to add this one instead,
Yeah.
but then we already had it in there 32 years ago. That was put in the box. That was put in the box like week 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3, and we're on episode 99.
Yeah, pretty much. Claire says, depends. If they're unconscious and about to be eaten by monsters, yes. I'll figure it out.
We're just saving them from the monsters, right?
What did Bubsy say? What anime?
That I mean,
Well,
it's
actually, that
currently airing, but
after that,
as long as it works out, yeah.
When does it finish airing?
There's a sweet spot. It'll be done in 12 weeks. There's 3 episodes out, so 9 weeks from now, the first season will be done. So 9 episodes from now.
We're not gonna pick it next week. I mean, 3 weeks from now.
It can be a next pick, but it could be the pick after, because we could technically start it while the last 2 episodes still need to come out.
Possibly Dan to Dan getting added to it. Oh man, Dan to Dan. I want to watch. But we are watching.
Yeah.
Is it wrong?
I won't watch past the 3rd episode because that's all I've seen up to. So.
Okay. Is it wrong to pick up Girls in the Dungeon? Watch episode 1 through 4 by next Wednesday. We would love for you to watch. The way the show works is that we watch an anime. Have you watched it, Matt?
I have not seen this one. No,
I have not seen this one either, and maybe some of y'all haven't seen it either.
Season 5 just started though, right? Like
Jesus Christ!
With this last fall season that's starting.
Oh, okay. So we have not watched it, and maybe you haven't watched it either. Maybe it'll be your next favorite anime. Maybe you find out that you like it. Maybe you find out that you don't. But the way the show works is that we watch it all together and we come back here and talk about it and give us your thoughts. We would love to hear what you think about Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon in the Discord. But Matt, where can they find you when you're not magicking?
You can follow me on my socials on YouTube at Matt_Galley, on Twitter, Instagram, or the other thing, TikTok. Twitter, Instagram, @_ it's Matt_Galley. On TikTok, I'm just Matt_Galley. I posted a short. I'll post some more. Nothing crazy. Just I've been playing a lot of games, and I'm just gonna start talking about the games I've been playing.
Cool.
So if you want to see me talk about the games I like to play, I posted it on TikTok and on Instagram Reels. Whoa. It's just a short little clip of me playing a rhythm game, but I'm gonna start talking about the games I've been playing, because I play a lot of games ever since I stopped streaming, because that's why I stopped streaming, because it's hard to keep playing a variety of games when I don't know how my PC can handle it. So we're just gonna talk about things we've been playing. Jules, when we're not here mashing it up and muscling it out, where can the people find you?
On YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitch, at JulesTheHuman, at JulesTheHuman on all social media. I've been posting some shorts on my personal YouTube channel, but also on the Anime Hour Pod YouTube channel. So on the Anime Hour Pod YouTube channel, they will go up first on there and then later on our socials or whatever. But go ahead and subscribe to the Anime Hour Pod YouTube channel. It's in the description of this video. Just click the little @ and then it'll be there. But you can also watch this anime podcast on Spotify. So if you want to listen to us or watch us on the way to work or in the gym, go and look up on Spotify the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. The video is there as well, so you don't have to just listen. It'll be the same thing as this, in case you miss an episode or want to go back in the logs of all the anime that we've watched. But yeah, haven't been posting a lot. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's where I post the most. But yeah, is it wrong to pick up Girls in the Dungeon? Watch the first 4 episodes of that anime by next Wednesday and come prepared. There's going to be a test, but we're going to be talking about it, and hopefully you watch it. And that's the end. See you next time.